with Auxilio. We are a Canada-based Hubspot partner, and we are super excited about the new announcement that Hubspot just did at Inbound 2020. It's about custom objects. Everyone was waiting for that, and everyone is super happy. But there's some disappointment because you can't create custom object right from the UI. You need to pass through the API, and most business people, non-developers, are disappointed with that. But I want to show you that this is very, very simple to create custom objects, even though you don't know how to code. And you will see you sometimes API developers coding and that kind of work can scare business people, but you will see this is very, very simple if you take the time to do it. But stay tuned. I will show you how to create custom object. But before that, I want to strongly recommend to listen to the and listen and watch the lesson from Kyle Jepson on custom objects in the HubSpot Academy. It will teach you when to create custom object and most importantly, when not to create custom objects. Because there's other way to store data in HubSpot, and depending on your use case, maybe it's better to use HubDBs or use CRM extension or timeline events and that kind of stuff. So creating a custom object is a very powerful tool, but you need to use it at the right moment. And this is what Kyle is explaining in his lesson. If you create custom object for everything, you will create a messy database that won't serve your organization very well. So take the time to listen to this session before creating your custom objects. So if after watching the lesson from Cal, you strongly think that you need to create a custom object, then you will face the problem I mentioned earlier. You can't create custom object right in HubSpot from the UI as you will do for a property or any other custom thing that you can build in HubSpot. So how would you do that? If you search on Google how to create custom object in HubSpot, you will probably land on that page. This is the developer documentation to create custom object. And if you never code, you will probably see this and you will be scared because there is code and you don't understand what it is. But first step of creating a custom object in HubSpot, don't get scared by the code. If you go to the tab Object Definition in this page, you will see, oh, there's other code, but don't get scared. You will be able to create your custom object without coding, I promise. So with that drop down, you will go to the Create a New Schema section, because this is what we want to do. We want to create a new schema for an object. And then you will be scrolled right here in the new schema section. And what you have to do is fill up the fields right here. And when you fill up the field right here, it updates the code on the right sidebar. So you don't need to know how to code. You just fill up the information you want about your object. The code will update, and after that, you will be able to run that code without creating a development environment on your computer and that kind of stuff. Everything will be run right from this very page in the HubSpot developer documentation. So, for instance, if we want to create a new object that will be, I will continue with the same example that Kyle used in his Academy lesson. Let's create a car object in HubSpot. So singular is car, plural is cars. This is just for displaying the right word in the Hubspot UI when you will use this object. After that, you will create your property, your required properties. So let's say for cars, we will create the make properties and the model property. And then you can select which one of these properties will be searchable in the Hubspot search bar. So we will create the make and model property here again. We will be able to create much more properties, but for the sake of the video, I will just create make and model. But you can create as much property as you want, year, plate number, condition of the car, and that kind of stuff. So, but you can also create those property in the UI once the new object will be created. So, if you're not very acquainted with this page, but you're very acquainted with the page of creating properties in Hubspot, maybe you will prefer to create all your properties in the Hubspot UI. You will need to open the see all params here so you can give the information about your properties, because we just indicate which properties we want to be required and searchable, but we need to inform the system what are those properties. So let's continue. The primary display property could be the make. The secondary display property could be the model. So this is what will be shown on the record when you you create a record for that object. So if we add a name property or something like that, this is something that we want to make as the primary display property, but the make will do it just fine. Also, we have the restorable value here. You need to set this to true, so check the box. If you want to have a recycle bin when you delete a record, so let's say you have a record in your object that you want to delete. If you want it to be restorable from the recycle bin, this needs to be checked. If you don't want to have a recycle bin for your object, you can leave this unchecked. I will check it, and after that you will create your properties. So by default, there's already a default property right here, and since I mentioned two properties earlier, I will need to click here one more time to have two properties. So let's begin with the first one. So the first one was the make. This is the name of the property. The label will be make with a capital letter, so it looks good in the UI. You could add this property to a group. You could add a description to that property. You will need to set option, because you probably want this make property to be a drop-down select. So you will create the option. Let's say Toyota, and the value will be Toyota. You could also set a description for that option if you want. The display order, let's say it's the number 1. You could hide this from Hubspot if you want, but I assume that you don't want to hide the value option in Hubspot. So we will leave this unchecked like this. And so this is the option. We will only create one option for the sake of the video, but you could create all the car makers like Ford and Mitsubishi and whatever you want. Uh, so if you wanted to do that, you will just click another time on add this value beside option, and then you will be able to create that other option. So after that, the display order of your object, your property. So do you want it to appear in the first or or at last? Since we are creating only one or two property right now, this is not really important. You could set the property as a unique value if you are creating a property, let's say for uh, car serial number or that kind of stuff. That value will be unique, so this property will need to be this parameter of the property will need to be checked. You can hide the property as well, but this is not something that we want to do. The type of the property is important. Since we set options earlier, we will need to create an enumeration property because these are the only types that accepts options. And the field type will be a drop-down select. So I will write select right here. There's a bunch of others property type like date pickers and multiple checkbox and that kind of stuff. But for this example, it will be a drop-down select. So we just create the make property. So I will go and click on the add this value for another property, which will be the model property. So I will go down again, and here's where it starts. So the name of the property will be model, just as we typed it in earlier. The label will be model with a capital letter because this is the label that will be displayed in the UI. As I said earlier, I could create a group, a description, options. I will create only one option because there's a lot of other there's a lot of car models, and I don't want to take too much of your time. So I created this model. The order, I could set it to be number one, but there's only one value, so this is not really important. I don't want to hide it. I don't want to add a description. The display order, as I said, it's not important because we don't create a lot of properties right now. This is not unique. I don't want it to be hidden. So so yes, the type will be as for the make an enumeration, and the field type will also be drop down select. So after that, I will say I will mention what would be the association with other object in Hubspot. So I want the car object to be associated with contact and deals. So this is how we do this, and the internal name of my object will obviously be car. So once I fill up all of this, I can scroll up, and then all the code here is updated with the information I filled up in the left sidebar. So I don't need to touch this. If I wanted to create a program that creates a car object, I will copy paste this code in my program. But since we just want to create our first custom object, the thing that we want to do is run this code. So you have a button right here, which is called test call. So what you want to do is give your API key. So it will send a test call to your portal, and it will basically create the object in your portal. So if you don't know where to build your API key, I will just show you this right now. You go to your portal, you go to your settings, and in your settings in integrations, you have the API key. If you never created an API key before, you will have a button that you will be able to click on, and it will create an API key. My API key is not shown right now because this is private information, and I will do this in another screen. But if I click show, then the copy button will be enabled, and I will be able to copy this. But I won't do this because this is very sensitive information, and I don't want to show this in a video. So I will copy my API key on my second screen, and then I will go to this field and copy it. So I won't copy it either, but once it is copied, you just need to click on send a request, and then the request will be sent, and it will create the other the new object in your portal. Sorry. So I will pause the video while I'm doing. I have this response right here from the server. So HTTP 2.1 response is a success response. So it says all in a JSON. It says everything that was created. So it created the car object with the model and make properties and every details. So if you go back to your portal and you go to contacts, you will be able to see your new object. So right here at the top, I have the cars object, and then I can create a new car. So the make is Toyota. This is the only option that we created, and the model is RAV4, and I can attach it to deal. I wish someday I will be able to sell a car to Brian Halligan. So I create the car, and then I will have this new Toyota RAV4 record in my list of created object, created cars. So this is it. So as you have see for yourself, I didn't need to code to create this first object in my portal. So do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions regarding creating custom objects. Of course, you can do a bunch of other stuff with custom object, like personalizing your association from one to many, or that kind of stuff. You can also create a bunch of other properties and that kind of stuff for your objects. So thank you for listening, and thank you for watching, and see you. Bye bye.